Aboard the Rock. Ronnie, swathed in borrowed oilskins 3 sizes too big for him, sat crouched in the stern of the relief boat that was taking them out to the Rock. When he sighted it at first on the horizon, shaped like a low-lying ship, he turned and called to his aunt, but Martha Morse had sighted it too. Her face was gayer and younger than Ronnie had ever seen. She nodded and smiled and called something to him that was lost in the wind, but he knew that she was happy and as excited as he. At the little landing on the southwest side of the Tern Rock, they were put shore hurriedly. The wind was shifting and the men were eager to put back. The luggage was carried in. Wilbert Denton gave them a few last instructions, turned over the keys to the stores, and stepped aboard the boat. 10 minutes later it was a mere speck rising and falling in the green troughs. A middle-aged woman and an 11-year-old boy were alone on Tern Rock. In their hands rested the safety of every ship plying the sea lanes within sight of its flashing light. Ronnie stood close to the base of the tower and looked around him. He knew that Tern Rock was 200 feet long, but it looked as small as a platter in the great expanse of heaving water that seemed above them on all sides, ready to break and wash over them. He leaned back and looked up toward the lantern, where terns and gulls and gannets circled and wheeled, soared and dipped in a rhythmic pattern. The birds' mewing cries, the waves' hollow gulps pulling in and out of the rock crevices, the hiss of spray, these were the sounds of the Tern Rock. In storms they would rise and roar in crescendo. They would hush to just muted murmurs in still weather, but they would be the ever-present music. Dizzily he clutched the tower wall for support, as a sudden wave of responsibility seemed to wash over him. He caught his breath sharply and turned to his aunt, his sudden doubt of their ability showing in his startled eyes. But Martha Morse understood. She smiled confidently and gave him an encouraging little shake. "I know, Ronnie," she said. "I always used to feel like that, too, whenever I came aboard of the Rock. We mortals seem to be just too pining to be trusted with this God-made pile of rock and this man-made pile of masonry. But remember this, if you and I weren't here and this light was left alone, this rock and these ledges would be nothing but a danger and a menace. We're needed, and we can do what's expected of us. Now come, let's go inside. We'll get unpacked and settled. We'll make our bunks up first, then we'll plan supper, and then we'll explore." Everything about the lighthouse was a delight to Ronnie. The main room, which was kitchen and living room combined, seemed the warmest, friendliest room he had ever seen. Its smooth gray walls reflected every dancing shadow, and its compactness, its neatness, was as perfect as that of any ship. The built-in cupboards gave it a spacious air for all its smallness. The chairs were comfortable, or would be for longer legs. The table satin smooth and sturdy. There were books in a wall bookcase, and games carved from wood. There was a built-in dresser with cheerful heavy dishes. It was a room where one could feel and be a man, and the blossoming rose geraniums and heliotrope on a little window stand only made him feel more manly, somehow, in contrast to their frailty. On another level were 2 small bunk rooms, with a built-in curtained bunks high above the floor. The space beneath filled with generous drawers in which to stow one's gear. Ronnie was proud when Aunt Martha took for granted that he would want to have a whole bunk room to himself. After 3 days, life on Tern Rock settled into an even pattern. Every daylight hour was filled with busyness, every hour of the dark with quiet pastimes. Aunt Martha laid out a schedule for them both. She herself turned out the light at daybreak. Then, while it cooled, there was breakfast for her to get, and the morning housework for her to do, and a run outdoors for Ronnie, or a bit of fishing. Both of them were needed to clean the lantern, to polish the great lens, to wind the clockwork that drove its revolving mechanism, to pump the oil up to the lamp chamber, and to do all the other routine tasks. There was time before their dinner for an hour of study, too, and there were 2 hours of schoolwork in the afternoon. And while Aunt Martha played teacher, together at dusk they climbed the iron stairs to light the lamp, and together they always watched it for a moment as its regular rhythmic flash pierced the growing dark. 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. When they were sure that it was all going properly, they climbed down the spiral stairs to the snug common room. Then supper, games, and books, and bed. Martha Morris watched Ronnie with some surprise. She had her memories here to live on. But it was strange, she thought, for such an active boy, one who was the center of his gang at school, to fit so easily into the monotony of their quiet life. But there was before her eyes, happy and busy, poking his nose into every corner like a healthy puppy. "It would be fun to have a dog, Aunt Marthy," he said one day. Why do you suppose Mr. Flagg doesn't keep a dog?" "You can't keep a dog out here," she told him. "They say it's been tried and they go mad, but I don't know if it's true." "Really mad?" Ronnie was aghast. "Well, they don't develop rabies, I don't suppose, but they go out of their minds all the same unless you take 'em ashore." Another day Ronnie came in panting and out of breath. "I've hunted and hunted over every inch of this rock, and I can't find a single blade of grass. It seems funny that a little bit doesn't grow here by accident." "The rock's had its share of accidents of another kind. There've been wrecks, horrible wrecks, on this ledge. I've seen 3 myself, and many's the good ship that piled on these rocks in the old days before the light was built. Lighthouses, Ronnie, are like a helping hand reaching out from heaven itself, and the tending of them is good work, good," his aunt told him.